Jeez. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. As long as you feel,
Yeah,
comfortable, of course.
yeah, absolutely.
So you get this chance to go, right? And you're in a VIP suite, which not a lot of people get to,
Right.
experience something like that. You're on the second level, kind of elevated above the audience, as you said, the concert goers and all. But this thing is actually facing where the gunfire is coming from. And of
Right.
course it's in the middle of the night and there's lights and everything, but you can't really see, but you can hear.
Right.
And I'm playing back in my mind because there's videos all over the place. It
Right.
even the person who was singing at the time didn't move. They
Right.
continued until like another like round, I guess, kind of started, and then they take off and everybody's already running. But you said that you were hearing it, you were wondering what was going on, but you actually saw somebody actually get hit.
Yeah, so like I said, it was really confusing. We
Hmm.
kind of made our way inside of the little room that they had, and there's probably about 10 of us or so in this little room. And one of the guys in there is just so insistent that it's fireworks. Oh, it's fireworks, it's firecrackers, it's not a gun. That's not what a gun sounds like, and I have no idea. I'm not much of a gun person, so
Hmm.
um, I I believe him. And so I stood up, and we have a window that was in the suite. And by this time, a majority of the crowd had kind of started running away. And so it really is an open field. There's nowhere to go. Really, the suite area we were at was kind of the only makeshift cover you could find. And so this girl was running right at us. And unfortunately, when I looked up, and it's right when the next round had started, and she was hit immediately and, fell to the ground. So that's between that, and I could see people jumping over the railings. And I'm such a rule follower. Like when I go to a concert, if you jump over that railing, like you are in trouble.
Right.
And so, like, it's crazy that just that kind of led my mind to believe something really bad was happening. Was, you see people being thrown over the railings, pulled over the railings, and I was like, they wouldn't be doing that unless it was something serious. And then when I saw her get shot, that's when it finally clicked. Like, okay, there's a shooter here, and then these people really are, getting shot.
Jeez. So from that moment, you and your group, do you all start hauling ass? Like, do you take off or do you stay under that? Because you said it was only the only real kind of makeshift cover there, or do you stay there? I mean, there's phone calls. Like I've heard stories from all over the place, and one of my good friends, Matt, he works for Las Vegas Fire and Rescue. Well, he did. He's now working with a different company now in the private sector of 911. But I've heard from him like all of these different phone calls that are coming in, people that are hiding and stuff. So were you all just kind of there under that makeshift cover, or do you take off?
Um, so originally we were just laying on the floor. For some reason, we thought it was a big deal to turn off the light, and we couldn't
Mhm.
figure it out. Um, it's crazy to look back and think one that didn't matter whatsoever, but that's where our mind went, and that we couldn't figure out how to turn them off. And it's literally you press the button, but
Mm.
like we could not figure out how to turn this light off.
Right.
Um, I had thought a lot about the pulse shooting. Um, and so I remember a lot of people had, text their loved ones, and for some of them, that's the last thing that those loved ones get was that message from you. And so I knew that if my mom was going to hear about it, I wanted it to be from me. She could hear what's going on from me, whatever. So I pretty much just called her expecting to leave a voicemail. She was living in Austin at the time. And so, it's after midnight, and so I basically call, to leave goodbye message, just let her know this is happening. Not sure if we're going to make it out or not. Um, just kind of the cliche goodbye message that you would leave your family. And then she answered. And so I basically just said, stay on the phone with me. There's a shooter here. And she was actually able to keep me really calm because, she would just tell me, like, well, just, stay behind something. Like, you're fine. Um, she didn't understand what was really happening, which ended up being a good thing because it was able to help keep me calm. But
Mhm.
we laid in the suite for a while. Probably it was around like the eighth or ninth long round of gunfire. By this point, there was basically no one in the venue unless they were hiding or on the ground. And so um, the eighth or ninth round, like the bullets pretty much just went into our suite. You could hear them just pinging all around everywhere. And so I don't know where the shooter's at. So in my
Mhm.
mind, he's standing in front of the suite because that's really the only place that people can congregate. And so if I'm just going through trainings and all that, I knew like you don't want to be trapped in a confined space like that. So my mind is, he's right out front, and then someone ends up opening our door and says you need to run. So now I really think he's right out front, and he's just gonna, I don't want to be a sitting duck. And so we decided, it was me and two of my buddies, we decided to take a chance and run at that point. As soon as we got up to run is when another long round of gunfire started. As soon as we hit the stairs to the suite, a bullet hit directly between me and the girl in front of me, and so we assumed again he was right outside. So when we left, like we didn't know, it was just confusion of do you go left or right. You don't want to run like directly into the shooter.
Mhm.
Uh, so there was people running. It was truly stepping into a war zone. I mean, just the sounds, the screams, the gunfire. You're having to jump over people or step over people just to try to get out. Um, Push through fences, jump through holes in fences. It was basically just the worst obstacle course you could possibly go through. And they're just saying, run low or run fast, stay low. And we're having to run through this dirt lot we end up going through, and I hit a rock and I fall, and everyone thinks I've been shot. And it was truly going from like we were scared, and then you open that door and it's like the movies when it's quiet, you open the door and then all of a sudden it's just like hell breaks loose. It's pretty much what it felt like to try to run and get away from it.
Jeez. I cannot even I cannot even imagine. I can barely talk as I'm listening to you say this because I'm piecing it all in my head trying to imagine and I know exactly what you mean. Like in movies and stuff, you see, the main characters like, "Are you ready?" They open the door and then it's just hell that's
Right.
going on, and that's exactly what you just described. So, you end up getting through all of that and it's funny how you kind of say, the worst obstacle course that you could ever imagine. Like, man, that's that I yeah, I can't even imagine it, and you're telling me, and I'm trying to picture it. But you end up getting through all of that,
Mhm.
and now what happens after that? Because as you're talking, there's a lot of different things that could be triggers. I mean, there even, a little bit of, survivor's guilt, that I'm sure, I'm not saying that about you, but for anyone else, I know for me, if I had gone through something like that, I'd probably sit there thinking like, wow, what, I made it through this, why me and not others or anything.